Story starts with me. I purchased a game called Mario Kart Super Circuit. Well, as you can tell, this game is a Mario game. The plumber from the Mushroom Kingdom was who has to save the princess all the time. I got the game from Game Station quite a while ago. The checkout man handed me the game and I paid very little, so it is an old pre-owned game. At the time, I asked if the game was faulty and replied with, "Alright, this game is in 100% working order." So I bought the game, and then he stopped me and said that the woman who sent the game back said that she loved the game, but had to leave as it creeped her out, and she thought she was going insane. When she left the game, the clerk said, "It also says TGL, TGTL on the back." I asked what that meant, and then he said that he was never told, and that I will never know. So I walked home and realized that the clerk said that the game nearly made the woman insane, but I still played it. The game started as normal, played really well, and the writing on the back was in good condition. So I was really happy that I could play the game and not worry. Sometime something happened. As I was playing the game, I played on Bowser's Castle 1 and was doing extremely well. So I started to mock the CPU, saying that they suck at the game and such. As I was just a boy in my imagination at its wildest. When mocking the game, I heard a little static and heard an unexplainable noise. And then the game froze, which threw me off a little, but as a kid, I thought my imagination was getting the better off of me, so I kept playing. When I started the game again, it still played normally, and I wondered what went wrong. When I processed with my young mind, I thought the game was just in a worse condition than I initially thought, or it was just a coincidence. But even my assumptions were wrong. I didn't even play the game until about a week later. Forgetting about the coincidence, I carried on with the game and said that it played normally until I shouted at the game because I lost a race. I really needed to win. And then the game did the same thing last time. Went all to static and then froze. But seeing that this was not a coincidence, I turned off and turned it back on straight away. This is what I regret, because as soon as I turned it on, the game did something odd. Showed a white screen, then text and a voice came out of my Game Boy. The text was black, mostly expected. The voice was coming out of the speakers like it was a calm woman. She said hi. I was extremely scared, so I did not speak. The screen flashed red, and her calm voice was broken into a horrible, croaky voice, which sounded like she had a child get murdered. "Answer me," she shouted. So I said hi. Her voice then rumbled back into a calm voice, and I just talked to her and extremely confused. At the time I was playing the game, I was on my own, and I was so too scared to even move from where I was. After a while, we talked for a bit and said that her name was Sandra, but called herself Tugtile. It went in her demonic voice. When I got comfortable, she told me something but gave extremely little information. As I got used to talking to her, she suddenly stopped talking, and all I could hear was her ripping and tearing. No visual content. Suddenly, the game's main screen showed Mario, Luigi, Peach, and Toad all sleeping or dead, and the game blacked out. I was, of course, watching without any movement. I was frightened. It then faded back to the white screen, and I said after a few minutes, "Hello?" There was no answer. I decided to say hello again, and then the game made a clicking noise and then showed Mario's head twisting. Every time I said a word, Mario's actions differed. I said Sandra, and Mario closed his eyes. I said hello again, and Mario opened them. I then said hello for a final time, and Mario smiled demonically, his head spinning. This continued for a long time, and then he started laughing maniacally. I waited for a few minutes, but nothing but the sound of static was getting louder and was heard. I turned off the Game Boy. As I sat in frozen place, thinking that staring into the blackness of the screen, I managed to turn on the Game Boy another time. It started normally. The game was back to normal and has been since this moment in history. But it still makes me freeze whenever I think about it, but luckily it will never happen again. The aftermath. What happened after that day? I had a few recurring nightmares every now and then, but that only happened for a week or two. And then the nightmares left my system. I also did not play the game after testing one track for about 3 months. My memory of what I talked about to Sandra was quite weak. I think I got 6 questions, but only remember 3. Because this is what I was scared by what happened at the end of my unbearable journey. 1. Who are you? A. My name is Sandra. 2. Sandra, what does TGTL stand for? The game that listens. Are you a real person, Sandra? Of course. You are speaking to me right now. I may not be here, but we are still speaking. This is all I remember, so I am very sorry. But please be careful what you buy. You never know what could happen.